On this episode of Through the Pines, we'll pit AI versus certified planners and the biggest issues affecting both, including will AI steal the financial planners' jobs, fiduciary duty, cost, emotional, personal touch, the complex tax and estate planning, speed and access, bias and conflicts, behavioral coaching, and finally, regulatory issues. Welcome to a financial planning podcast with a down-to-earth vibe. Sasquatch listens while raking the fall leaves. This is Through the Pines. Our advisors for this episode, we welcome back Rex.m.baxter and Brandyn Smith from the famous planwithbaxter.com. They are the 2023, 2024, and 2025. Yes, that's 3 years in a row, folks. Forbes best in-state wealth management teams for Utah, the Advisor Hub fastest growing advisors to watch under $1 billion, and the receivers of the Ameriprise Client Experience Award. Welcome to the program, Rex and Brandyn. Let's dive right in. This is the hot subject right now, AI versus human beings and how it applies to people's jobs. And so, Rex, will AI steal your job as a certified financial planner, which is what you do, and kind of explain what you do and why it's going to be tough for AI to steal your job.
Yeah. So thanks for having us on the podcast. Yeah. Do appreciate that. I think I like the subject. I think.
I hope so. Yeah.
So we'll find out. I think at the end of the day, our role and our job is to help people reach their goals. To help them feel more confident about them reaching their goals and to kind of take them on that path. Now, sometimes that's dealing with the investing and asset management and capital management. Sometimes it's dealing more with the goal themselves and tracking that out, looking at tax minimization or estate planning and legacy planning along those lines. And so everybody, and lots of times it's 4 or 5 different goals at the same time that we're coordinating. So I think that what we're here to do as certified financial planners, as accredited portfolio managers, along those lines for our clients.
Brandyn, how come your job's safe from AI?
You never know. It's interesting. You look back at the tech bubble, right? And the internet was coming, and we're like, man, this is amazing. And the internet was about to change our lives, and we all knew that, but we didn't really know how. And there's a lot of that similar sentiment I feel with AI, right? That we're looking at this tool like, wow, this is incredible. This is going to change our lives. I don't think any of us really understand how, right? We've all got these ideas that are probably wrong. But yeah, is AI going to steal, change financial advising? 100% it's going to change it. Is it going to take the human element out of it? I really doubt it. But we'll see.
Yeah. It's been interesting as you look over the last 20 years or so, as the internet became more prevalent, the word for financial advisors was you're going to lose your job because the internet is
So you've already heard this before.
Yeah. So I heard it then, and then we had online trading and internet trading and program trading, and you're not, you're going to lose your job there. And then we had robo advisors managing portfolios. You're going to lose your job. And now it's AI, you're going to lose your job. And I think at the end of the day, I think all of those have a place, and most of those are enhancers to our job, not detractors from our job. And I think AI is going to fall right in that same camp to where it enhances the advice given as a community for financial planners and investment managers. And hopefully it levels up a lot of the advisors out there. But am I worried about it taking my job? I'm not worried at the moment. I'm not worried about it taking my job.
Yeah,
Rex, it's interesting you say that, right? Because you talk to the old timers of our business, right? The guys who were in this 40 years ago, and they talk about what they did as a financial advisor 40 years ago. It's insane. It's crazy.
Like the job's not the same?
It's not even remotely the same, right? I mean, you hear stories about not having social security numbers, and literally they're opening up a folder, right? Like a paper folder, and they're writing down the stocks that they're purchasing. And that's how they earned money, most of them, right? Was by recommending that someone buy a stock, and they'd charge a commission every time they could tell you to sell and buy a stock. That's how they charge a commission. Is that the game that we play today? Like not even close, right? That is not the description of a financial advisor, right? We've moved holistically away, and I might add, to a much better level, right? Where we're actually have clients' best interest, that's the way the model is built is so that we're both incentivized to grow their portfolio rather than just try and like exchange stocks back and forth.
I think it's continued to evolve to a more holistic approach, right? Back in the 80s and 70s, it was very much a very transactional business, to where you would buy a bond, you'd buy a stock, and you'd hold it for a while, and then you'd sell the stock or sell the bond, or it'd mature and buy something else. But it's a very transactional business, and that's how advisors
Make movies
get paid.
about that stuff.
Yeah. Wolf on Wall. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
So, kids, don't go watch that one. But
That's not your job, Rex. That's not you on the. Yeah.
right. They had the boiler rooms where people would just call and try and convince people that some business that started in a shed was a great business.
I'm hoping AI is going through that right now. Like the back end of AI, they're partying it up and doing drugs on the back end of AI. Because they're just like living it up, whatever AI personality is on the backside.
That's funny. So
Going through their 80s moments.
I'm curious, though, as we look around the corner, because right now it's very much for a lot of financial advisors, ourselves included, it's very much a holistic approach, to where we're very focused on holistic planning, to where the goals are interrelated, intertwined. You know, we can map out trying to send your kids to college at the same time we're mapping out retirement, at the same time we're mapping out, setting up a special needs trust for one of your kids that's struggling, right? And we can wrap all those together and figure out where we're headed. I am curious as to where does this go around the next corner? Where does AI take us? Because I think the AI will evolve and modify that process to some extent.
Sure. Yeah, it has to.
And so I'm excited for that. I'm actually really excited for the AI and what it's going to bring.
I am too, because I think I would love to go the next level, right? Which is being able to like be a family's just like because we are in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of things that like we don't have time to get into the intricacies of like mastering their budget and helping them with like a lot of the other like really small things. Like clients call us with questions, and I love that, and I love to help answer things, but I'd love to be even more involved, but just with restrictions of time, you almost can't. And I feel like AI is going to help with that, right? And help us get more like the family CFO kind of slot.
And I think that'll come. I think that will happen. I think AI will generate that. I think right now you get that family office feel, to where, in a family office, you have people paying their bills. You have people, trying to maximize their credit card points. You have them booking their vacations and things like that. And those exist in the marketplace for the ultra high net worth clients, right? For those that have, 50 million, 100 million, $1 billion, you have these high net worth family offices. I think that what AI is going to bring to us, if I were to look around that corner, is I think it brings the technology and the ability for all of that to come downstream, to where now you can provide that a lot of those similar services to those that have $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, $5 million, things like that. I think it's going to take a little while for that to happen, but it wouldn't shock me if that happens over the next 5 to 10 years.
And how fun would that be? Because right now it's, clients come in, hey, I've got this credit card, I've got this, what do you think about this? And we have a really good, fun discussion about the pros and cons of things, and then they go kind of do that with those, right? Like I manage the investment side, I manage the financial plan, but then the other stuff is more consultative, and I don't know. I think it could add a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah. Well, Rex, you sort of touched on the fiduciary duty side of things there when it says, we have like this family office. And so using the AI prompts that, of course, for this podcast that,
of course, why wouldn't we use AI to set up the agenda for our podcast?
So, hallucinations versus fiduciary duty. And so it gave out this this example, and I don't know what this means, but it said AI told a 29-year-old to put 100% in ODTE calls. I don't know what that means. So it hallucinated a 2026 tax law that doesn't exist. But it also says so. But planners, it is illegal for you to do some certain tax stuff because that's not what you're trained to do. But there's no repercussion on AI if AI is wrong with tax advice. So what are the differences there between like on the repercussion side of things between AI and your job?
Yeah, right now there's not any on the AI side, but I think that that's coming. I think that there will be some regulation that comes down the line But I think right now you have to use common sense, and I think that you have to, kind of trust but verify, so to say, right? You're gonna put it into AI, but then you better go to the IRS site or Social Security site or talk to somebody that's in the business to verify that really is what is accurate, and two, should you be doing it?
Yeah.
And is it in your best interest? And that's, I don't think AI can tell you that it's really in your best interest right now. I don't think it has that ability. I think it's getting better at telling you accurate information. I don't think it's fully there yet, but I think it's getting better at it. And so I think you're getting more accurate information. Not sure that we're getting, is it good for you?
Right.
And I think that's the crux of the issue with AI right now, is it's really easy to be an investor when markets are good. It's really scary when markets go south, right? And did AI really build the correct portfolio relative to your goals? Maybe not, right? I mean, there's still so many issues with AI where it's recommending things that may or may not be accurate. And right, when markets are good, great, and that feels good, and maybe you gave up a little bit of return, maybe you didn't, right? But that's easy. It's when things go south that you're like, wait, do I really have a strategy to get through this? Am I really going to be okay? And if you aren't completely confident in that, that's where the mistakes are made. That's where, I've seen people who are still in pain from 2008 because they just didn't they made the wrong decisions when they got scared. And AI has the tendency to maybe not be as thorough, right? It gives really, the answers look so professional and so polished, but it might not be holistically comprehensive. And that's where a human that can really get to know you and get to know who you are and your emotions and your beliefs and your goals and can put those things together. And that works a lot better than an AI model.
So I've asked AI to set up like how to grow my podcast faster, or how to grow my YouTube faster, things like this, and it kicks out these numbers that I'm like, dude, there's no way. Like who can actually hit these numbers, these metrics that it kind of comes across? And I'm like, so it gives me good ideas. Like, it's like, okay, so someone out there has done it because it's picked it up somewhere. So someone has done this, but for it to be like realistic is like, it's not delivering that. What's funny about it too is it says it is realistic to hit these numbers through hard work. Like, it literally says that in the AI, right?
Yeah.
Because it is realistic. I guess
It's
if someone has
for
done
somebody,
someone has done it. Yes.
but it may not be realistic for you with all the other intricacies of your life.
Right.
And AI doesn't know what those are. It doesn't
100%.
know your family. It doesn't know the other demands on your time. It doesn't know what your biases are, what your mental, tops are that you just are topping out and not able to break through that.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting. I think it's great at generating ideas and thoughts, and it's certainly great at a lot of tasks. I mean, we use it. We use a lot of artificial intelligence in our business even today, and I think it's fantastic. It is helping with efficiencies. It's helping create some additional capacity. And it's cleaning up some of the processes for us.
Yeah.
And so I think it is an amazing tool, but again, it's a tool.
Yeah.
Right.
I think capacity is huge. That's going to be number one for right now. Let's talk cost. So the example given here was that, tell me if this is true. Robo managers charge an average millennial portfolio $19 a month. But what is the cost of like being wrong, and how,
Is it $19 a month on $100 portfolio, or right?
Again,
it's just a vague answer, right?
Yep.
And so, you ask me, is that average? Is that normal? I have no. I don't have enough facts.
Okay.
Right, is the reality. And so, do I think that you can manage a portfolio fairly inexpensively? Yes. Do I think that that's a good portfolio for you? I have no idea until I get to know you. Mm-hmm. Right.
And at the end of the day, it comes down to what is your net rate of return. Right? After all the fees have been paid for, what money do you have left after? Right? And that's through market cycles.
I think you're right. Of course you're right. But the difference there is getting someone who is like, I have a family member like this, that where anytime there's a 50 cent or dollar raise on the hourly job, they are like pumped, right? When it's like, but in order to become, but this person really wants to be rich and wealthy. But it's like, dude, that 50 cents or $1 an hour in the big scheme of things isn't getting you anywhere. And so if someone is sitting there thinking, well, but I only have to pay a robo-advisor $20 a month, and you're going to take this percentage, in the end, I'm not going to make as much. You're like, no, dude, in the end, we're going to make you so much more money. It's going to be like you own your own business. It's like you're an entrepreneur, like you're salaried. Like, it's just a different conversation.
Well, I think it's interesting because I think most people understand when you pin them down and you run through the conversation, they understand psychologically what the right answer is. And so if you come in and you say, hey, look, if you go into, this private equity investment and maybe it's got a 2 and 20 fee, meaning a 2% annual fee, and they take 20% of the profits each quarter kind of thing. That's expensive, right? But if that's generating net in your pocket a 12 or 14 or 15% rate of return, and somebody else comes and says, hey, look, I can give you this index fund. It's going to cost you 2 basis points. 0.02% is all. That's a lot less than 200 basis points or 2%. But over time, you might average 7, 8, 9, 10% instead of that 14 or 15. So is it worth paying the 2 and 20 for those higher returns?
Yeah.
And, the answer would be yes. Now, there's a lot of other caveats to go with that, with liquidity, with are you eligible, do you qualify to invest in things like that? They're complex, do you understand them? So there's a lot of other caveats that you have to, boxes that you have to check. But at the end of the day, Brandon's exactly right. It comes down to what do you keep in your pocket?
Yeah.
Right? Not only after fees, but also after taxes and after you look at the entire picture.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is people don't, fees are easy. Fees are easy to understand. It's apples to apples, which one is more, which one is less. And so people really zero in on what they understand and then fail to see like the bigger picture of, all right, what are we really trying to do through market cycles, through financial, through retirement, through all these things. What are we trying to do? And it doesn't come down to just fees. Fees are important. And I'm a firm believer you should know what fees you're paying your financial advisor, but you don't want to go with the cheapest option every time, right? And I say that all the time. There are some things in life you don't go with the cheapest option. If I'm gonna I've had friends be like, look, we could go skydiving for $50. I'm like, hey man, if I do go skydiving,
oh my God, I'm paying full
it's
price.
It's not on a sale deal from some company I've never heard of. Right. There. I'm all right with getting a deal, right? Yeah. And I want to be competitive, right? When I want to look around, but I'm not looking for the cheapest option on the most important things in life.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So money is an emotional thing. And this is where, Rex, you probably, I don't know if you've been in this exact scenario, but this is the scenario that the AI guy was, which is pretty great. It says there's what about like when someone passes, AI is like, well, here's a calming playlist. And then where a planner is like, well, I held Mrs. Johnson's hand when her husband died and rewrote their estate plan at 2 a.m. or whatever. But a study, and I don't know if you've heard anything about this, it says 73% of widows will fire the robo-advisor and hire a human within 12 months. So, but it comes down to like, sometimes you just need to talk to a person to figure these things out.
Yeah, I think it adds and just gives you confidence and has again that humanity in it, right? To where they understand the emotions that you're going through. They're empathetic with what you're going through, and they have enough experience to say, look, let's slow things down. None of this has to happen, yesterday, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so let's put a priority on what we need to tackle, and let's tackle this at your own rate as you are emotionally and psychologically ready to do that.
Yeah.
And again, AI is great at generating a list of what needs to happen, but again, they're not going to understand the humanity that needs to be involved in extremely difficult situations like that.
Yeah.
I love that when we meet with someone for the first time, we'll often go through the initial stages of a financial plan. and we'll gather all the, right, we'll go through net worth, we'll get what kind of vehicles do you drive, year, make, and model, which you might say, well, what does that have to do with retirement? It has a lot to do with retirement. We'll go through, your home, your credit cards, your mortgage, your investment accounts, how much you have in a bank account, and there's a lot of these things that seem like, well, why does it matter what car I drive, and why does it matter how much credit card debt relative to bank savings? But it all does, right? Because as Rex and I gather that information, we're able to tell what your relationship is with money, beyond just how much you have in your bank account, but really what is it, what have your habits been in the past, knowing that those are likely to go forward, and how can we account for those and make adjustments to the plan to make sure that we're prepared for those? And those are touches that really, I think, make a difference.
Yeah. Rex, and when it comes to estate planning, it can be complicated. Now, you're not a certified estate planner, but you help guide people through that.
Yeah, we definitely consult and work with estate planners, with attorneys, towards setting up those estate plans. And those can be extremely complex, but also rarely, this is where the art comes in. Rarely is there one way to accomplish it. Lots of times we can accomplish it utilizing different tools, different trust documents, depending upon what we're trying to do. And a lot of the decision on which tools we're going to use will come back to what you're comfortable with, what the client's biases are, what their history is, and what their relationship is with the money. And AI, again, is not going to know that yet. Now, will it eventually? Maybe. But again, it's going to come down to how good is the information getting put into the system for AI to understand that.
Here's what I think people think AI is. And I just saw a new commercial I've got probably 5 Alexa devices in my house. And I saw a new ad for the new one featuring Pete Davidson, the actor, comedian Pete Davidson.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great commercial. It's a phenomenal commercial. And he's literally talking to it like, what's the Rocket Man talks to Jarvis? What's his name? No, it's not Rocket Man.
Iron
Man, thanks. Iron Man. Rocket Man. Iron Man. Yeah. When he talks to Jarvis. Like it is a personality, and Alexa they're building that up more, right? And so I'm like, okay, yeah, however, my Alexa, my Jarvis has been with me now for 10-15 years, right? And 10-15 years from now, and knows me and knows my cousins, and that's where I think people think it's going.
So is that scary too at the same time?
100% scares the hell out of me. But I mean, I don't know. Jarvis saved Iron Man's life when he had to, the computer came alive and restarted his heart or whatever in the movies. Okay. Yeah. So people see this and it's like, well, it's going to have my back when I need it. Maybe. So
it was interesting because I think it was Elon Musk that came out with the statement that the AI is going to make us all dumber, right? Because we're not going to be thinking for ourselves quite as much over the next 30, 40 years. And we'll be relying so much on AI that we'll start to lose some of that cognitive ability. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that I think he's in favor of some of the regulation on AI is so that we don't dumb down the population.
I saw a trend yesterday. This is the greatest TikTok trend I've ever seen. The kids, they call it raw dogging boredom. And they set their timer for 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and they can't have music, they can't have their phone, they can't have a computer, they can't have anything but silence. And people are like, yeah, it's called meditation, Holmes. It's called living like 150 years ago before we had any of that stuff. This is all so new that it's so fast and so new that our brains haven't figured it out. But the kids are intuitive enough that they're like, I need a break. And so they're taking on this challenge, and they're enjoying it anyway.
Yeah, I think they're finding the value. And again, it's you don't know what you don't know, right? Yeah. So they're learning that, oh, wow, I understand now why my parents did meditation, or why they're doing yoga, or why they're doing, whatever this is because it's creating a mental break from all of the technology and all that constant incessant pounding that's kind of going into our brains.
Yeah. Let's talk speed and access. And so 24 hours a day, I can get on the computer. I can ask AI what it thinks about my finances. But
doesn't sleep.
It doesn't sleep. It doesn't need a snack, doesn't need to meditate. Apparently, even
doesn't
so.
need caffeine.
Probably not. Yeah. So what's your response to that? As far as being accessible to clients and that being an issue, or is it?
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of an issue as far as accessibility. I mean, the markets still today are not open 24/7. I think that will change though. Actually, in the next 5 to 10 years, I think.
Oh, really? You
markets
think it'll
will
be?
Yeah,
You think so?
I do.
Well,
I do.
I don't get it, because it's like during the pre-open, the markets. I'm like, well, so is the market open or not? Because it's going up and down anyway.
Right.
So I'm like, what are we doing? What do you mean the pre-open? Obviously, something's happening.
Yeah, so there's private transactions happening
Yeah.
out there, and that's driving the share prices after market and before market hours.
But that's not the official market.
Yeah,
The official
okay.
market has an open and close time.
Yeah.
And then you just got, like Rick said, private parties that have their own shares. Like, hey, I'll buy this one from you, right? And so it's
I think
Secondary.
sometimes it's better to not have immediate access. I know for myself, it
Freeze
takes
the
me,
credit card idea there in the freezer.
Yeah. Sometimes for me, I make my best decisions after I've taken a fair amount of time to think about them. And the bigger the decision, the more time I take. And so some of these things are big decisions, right? Somebody looks at and the market, earlier this year, first part of April, it was down, 20% in 2 days?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And if somebody woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and panicked, and they're like, okay, sell, I'm out, right? They've missed the vast majority of a phenomenal year in the market.
Yeah.
Now, would they have gotten back in? Maybe not. Most people don't. Because again, they're making the exact wrong decision at the exact wrong time.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure that more access is equivalent to better decision making.
I've thought that too. It's because we're mountain time, and so the markets close at 2 o'clock. And I'm like, come on, guys! Like, why can't we just have this so that I can place a trade for a client, later in the day? But I thought the same thing though, where the market has break points in it, and so essentially, if the market falls far enough in one day, they'll actually stop. They'll stop trading, right? And then they'll reopen, and if it falls again, they'll stop. And okay, everybody go home and rethink your life, right? Like it gives.
Wow.
What are we doing?
That's probably
So
not
is that
it.
just the indexes or individual stocks or
So that's
both?
the entire stock market, right?
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. So they'll freeze the entire market and shut it down and not allow any trading to go through for a period of time. And
So that
each
people can
time it
regroup.
happens.
Y'all lost your minds.
Yeah.
We're going to put a stop to this right now. We'll figure it out tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think it's smart, right?
Yeah.
Because it gives people time when they're in the midst of panic and chaos, like, oh my gosh, what's that? What don't I know that everybody else knows, right? Like,
Sure.
and everyone's just like spiraling.
Sure.
It gives that time to like stop. All right, let's relook at, is Home Depot really worth? Yeah, actually, looking at their earnings last year or last quarter, like it gives people time to think. And so I guess that's my argument for why markets might not go 24/7 is I do think it's almost one of those break points that even each day, right, we can have, like, it's funny to watch. Like, you'll watch one day it just like is down 1 or 2%. The next day it's up, right? Like, it's just up, down, up, down, up. And it's just like, sometimes I think those breaks give us a chance to kind of think and regroup and really assess what's happening.
I don't think it'll go 24 hours because then the trader bros on the West Coast can't brag about getting up at 3 a.m. to do their do their trades, But anyway, all right, let's chat some more numbers, Brandon. Sure.
You got it. Yeah. So household leverage, and this is from the Federal Reserve Board, and First Trust kind of put it together, but they show a graph, and I'll just kind of explain it to you. But essentially, it's the ratio of liabilities to assets. And that leverage actually climbed from 1960 at a pretty steady rate until it peaked in 2008, and until it kind of actually it's come really far down back to kind of in that 60s 70s era again. And so I mean this chart and there's your debt to income ratio charts that actually show it's interesting. We got in a really bad place before 2008. And since then, it's weirdly enough, like we all learned our lesson in a lot of ways. When you look at debt to income, when you look at this household leverage, people have not gotten back to where we were in 2008, which is encouraging. I think The thing to point out here, though, is you always hear like the news headlines that are like, credit card debt is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And that's true. The dollars of credit card debt are at an all-time high. But when you cross-check that with, well, our population is growing, our inflation, income, right? There's all sorts of different effects. When you look at the true, in my mind, the most important number, which is how leveraged someone is, we're actually in a really good place today.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it all goes in cycles. And so it'd be interesting if all of a sudden we were thrust into a market environment, an economic environment where wages fell, and unemployment, were to rise and things like that, then all of a sudden that debt to income ratio changes and looks really, really bad. And
possible,
so, there's a lot of things that could change that. And so it is important that you watch it and you understand it, and that you look at the different factors that can play a role in that.
Yeah.
So
what's crazy though, we're going on 20 years, right? It'll be 20 years in
some
a
cycles are longer than others.
Yeah.
20 years in which cycle?
From 2008, right? In 2028 will be 20 years. I mean, most of these cycles we see happening in 5 to 10 years, where it doesn't take long for people to forget and say, this time it's different.
I hear the word bubble often, so.
Well, that's good, right? Because we always hear the word bubble. Okay. And if the second you stop hearing the word bubble and like, this is the new normal and this is, like that's where you got to get nervous.
Yeah. Some of the most dangerous words are, it's different this time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Calling us out. All right. Back to AI versus certified financial planners. This is funny. Biases and conflicts. And so we have an entire episode, Rex, on biases, on how they affect the person making the financial decisions. But what about the biases when it comes to picking an advisor, where the argument against, like you mentioned, like, yeah, well, we can get to know you human to human. And the argument against that would be like, yeah, I don't want them to know me. I want black and white answers. They don't know me. There are no biases, versus like, the human who can, oh, by the way, it uses the example of kickbacks. Like AI can't take kickbacks. Advisors can. So they might do things negatively, tell me something's good, but it's not. So, but how does that affect your job at all?
Yeah, so I definitely think that there's that you have to be careful of conflicts of interest, right, that are out there, and it'll be interesting because it wouldn't shock me if there are conflicts of interest that creep into the AI world, whether it be marketing dollars, whether it be trying to steer people in certain directions. I mean, there's a lot of manipulation that could happen here.
Sure.
And so I think we have to be really, really careful of what we're doing. I think when people get just black and white answers, again, I think the information is good, but again, how are you going to react during that bad down market? How are you going to react when things don't go your way? It's still black and white, but you're still an emotional being. Mm-hmm. And so if you try and operate in an unemotional world, that's just not going to mesh well. And it's not going to end well for you at some point. Or at least might not end as well as it could, right? And so,
yeah,
I think that's what we all learn as financial advisors in the first couple years of advising, is that, wow, I thought finance was going to be a black and white answer where I can tell someone, hey, here, I've run the numbers, here's your answers. And what I've come to learn is that controlling the behavioral part of our emotions turns out to be, and most times, more important than just giving a black and white answer.
Yeah, the next topic, in fact, was the behavioral, right?
Yeah.
And so, and it gives an example of Vanguard's 2025 study saying that human coaching added 3% net return and AI added 1.1.
Wait, say that again. Who said that?
Vanguard 2025.
I'm just poking.
Oh, because you're studying. Yeah, you read these guys. Yeah. So remember when you're saving for your daughter's wedding and put the phone down. Like, in other words, you can just go to AI and maybe make a transaction. You don't have that person there, that human connection, that behavioral coaching, like you said, Brandyn, to be like, time out. Like, like you said, Rex, let's think about this for a minute.
Right. I think that interaction, I think study after study, and Vanguard's the most recent one, shows that there is an added and enhancement in performance or the reaching of your goals by having a financial advisor involved in that equation. And I think that that's important. And it's not just because I'm in the business I think it's important, but the numbers are showing that out. And so I think that people need to look at that. Now, a lot of people still don't want that advice, and that's fine. That, everybody gets to make their own decisions, and that works for them, and that's great. We are not a fit for everybody, but we are a fit for a lot of people that need our services.
Have you maybe thought, Rex? Sorry, Brandyn.
No, you're good.
Have you maybe thought of exporting your brain advice into the Baxter AI model?
Yeah, I've thought about that.
Yeah?
I'm researching to see, just like in, what was it, Austin Powers, to where they've got the mini-me and all of that kind of stuff.
You're going
right?
to need that. Yeah.
So
I look at the human component of advising in that when you're like meeting with someone who's in retirement, and this happens frequently, and they're not spending very much money and they've got plenty saved, and you sit down with them and you say, hey, like we really could be sending you quite a bit more money per month. They're like, no, I'm fine. Like things are good. And then you go deeper with them and say, well, like, is there anything that you'd like? Like, are there any vacations that you've dreamed of having that you just didn't think were possible? Are there, kids or grandkids that you want to make memories with? And you can push a little bit further and say, hey, they're like it's here, right? The money's here. And really, when you can get to know someone, you can serve them so much better in understanding what are their personality nuances, right? What is keeping them from living their life to the fullest in retirement? Is it because they're worried about money, or is it because of, family, and you can help them get to where they would want to be. And then on the exact flip side of that, I've got clients who just habitually spend too much money, right? And they recognize that and they know that, and they want me there as kind of a firewall, right? And they call me and say, Brandyn, I think I need to pull out some more money, right? And we can have that conversation of, all right, well, of course, right? It's your money, but here are the trends we've been on, and here's where we need to be. And are we sure this is like that one-time thing that we really need? Because we've had a lot of one-time things, over the last couple of years. Are we sure are we sure this is what we want to do it? And it's funny because those clients so often come back and make, man, I really like having you there, right? I like having you there to call. It helps me from just going in and spending, because I know I would do that if I didn't have someone to kind of talk through it. And people even say like I know I have to call and talk to you, and that keeps me from spending money, even though I'm like, man, I'm not trying to keep your money from you, right? Like it's yours, but having that relationship can help.
I think it's interesting that I equate a lot of AI to kind of book reading and to consuming information essentially. And so but when I look at some of the greatest athletes in the world, right, they could read a book on swing improvements if it's Tiger Woods on his golf game, or if it's Tom Brady on different ways to throw the football and things like that. But and they may read those, but they all hire coaches.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They have a personal swing coach. Yeah. They have a human, right, showing them how to throw the ball.
That is a brilliant example. I love that.
And so, but they'll get
metaphor.
the data, right? They'll get the data. And even now, I saw a show, I think it was on ESPN, to where they use science to show the best way to throw a football. I think it was on a spiral, tied a spiral or something like that. And so they would put all of these sensors all over the person, the body, the hand, the football, all of that, and they would measure it, get all this data feedback, but then they still had to interpret the data, and they still had to be able to communicate that to the quarterback to say, this is where the nuances are to where we can improve your game.
Yeah.
And it still takes that interpretation. So in my mind, I equate us in a way to that interpretation and to that personal financial coach, that personal CFO coach, to where we're taking the data and the information that's out there, and now we're tailoring it to you, and we're communicating it in a way that you can receive it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's end with this. Is your ultimate boss, Rex, the SEC?
Wow.
They're listening.
They're definitely they play a critical role in our lives. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, the question there would be, is the SEC going to rein in AI? I get, because you guys do have to, you have an entity in which you are responsible for the SEC. So is AI going to eventually get there? Like, is there going to be a prompt or something that like triggers the SEC?
I think the SEC will get involved at some point, as well as FINRA and other organizations. I think that they'll put in requirements. Matter of fact, I'm already seeing that they're putting in some requirements to where some of these things have to be documented when advisors are using the information from AI, as far as what prompts are you using, how are you, handling the data. If we're having them record a client review to help us summarize, set up tasks, whatever the case may be, then how long are we keeping that recording? Are we tracking the recording? Is it, and so there's a lot of aspects of that in our lives. And so from that aspect, I absolutely think they're going to get involved. Now, to me, the real question is, are they going to get involved to the extent, or which government entity is going to get involved on the non-advisor financial advice coming from AI? To where just somebody's sitting down at their kitchen table, they type in a prompt, AI kicks out some information, and unbeknownst to them, maybe that's very biased information. Maybe there's a mutual fund company out there paying, a Copilot or ChatGPT or Grok to move their fund list up in the pecking order of the recommendation from that AI entity.
The nerve. Oh,
I'm just, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just saying, who's going to monitor that? Who's going to regulate that? Because there does need to be some systems and controls put in place, or else there's a lot of fraud and manipulation that could happen here.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so AI versus certified financial planner, and the winner is
CFP, financial planner.
We're going to probably use both. It's going to be a mix, right? Moving forward into the future. You've already said this, Rex. You're going to use both anyway for your job.
Yeah, it's a combo.
Yeah, it's a combo. Okay. All right. Anything else, Brandon?
No, I'm excited for it though.
Yeah.
I think it works out really well in the end.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for indulging me on this subject. I appreciate that. This podcast was produced by the Banyan Collective, recorded here in our camp studio trailer inside the Monarch Building on historic 25th Street. If you found value in this podcast, you can consider supporting us, which we would love, at buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media. Banyan has 2 A's in it. Banyan Media. You can watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. So many people spell it wrong, and it's okay. But then they can't find us. So it's Banyan Media. You can find us at Through the Pines on YouTube, and you can like our Facebook page, Pines Podcast, as well as our Instagram at Pines_podcast. This has been Through the Pines, reminding you to use yesterday's dollars to finance tomorrow's dreams.